Hello, welcome to episode 24 of Baking Bread.li. This episode's kind of in reverse. Oops, sorry. I've already done the work, but I'm going to show you what I've done because I was working on the Bread.li site and I wanted to get some kind of things done and dusted while off camera, just to kind of get some things, the boring stuff done. And one of the things I wanted to do is make sure all my templates are correct within the Jekyll structure. Like if we have a look at the issue here, I've create a better templating structure. This is an issue just to say to myself, get these files in the right structure. All pieces of content are picking the right templates, and it's something that can be reused and is done in a almost modular fashion. So I've got my layouts down here. Default is our all-encompassing one, then front page, post, blog, CMS, and CMS dir is CMS directory. So that's just the CMS, page where it's just all the CMSs listed up. And this is a lot of different templates, and most of them are relevant to different content types. So page, posts, and CMS. So those are our post types, if you will. So we've got our posts, we've got pages, which are just the default for Jekyll, and then CMSs, which we added in as a collection. And I realized that there must be a way to set these for each of the content types without having to write it into each file. So what we were doing before, or what I was doing before, I should be saying, is each time I was creating a new page, so this is the about page, for example, I was doing layout, if I can type, layout, default, or now I've added a page template, so I put page, and that will use the page template. Now, while that's only 2 words that I'm adding into the front matter file, it's still an additional 2 words to what I could be doing is if I wrote it once in, say, the configuration file, in the config.yaml file, and then never having to worry about it again. And the only time I would need to worry about it is when I want to overwrite it. So one quick lookup, I'm just going to rewind that and get rid of it. One quick lookup on the Jekyll website, and I came across front matter defaults, which is actually stated at the bottom of the front matter page, and it says, don't repeat yourself. If you don't want to repeat yourself or repeat your frequently used front matter variables over and over, just define defaults. And that's exactly what I was looking for. So essentially, you can set up some default parameters for each of your content types. Let me open my configuration file. I'm going to go through all this. It's going to be it looks quite. It's this section here. It looks quite daunting. Let me put a line there, but it really isn't. It's not that complicated. Actually, it's there, just where that defaults line is. From then on, right? Okay. So I set up the defaults value here, and then each of these lines represents a different item. And I kind of copied their formatting, so it has two spaces, just like YAML style, and then a dash for the item, and then they returned, which I didn't know you could do, but you can do, and kind of nicely separates out big chunks of data. So what we've got is a scope parameter, and that scope literally scopes in where you want these values to go, which is the next part of it. So for this section here, we're scoping into the content type of pages, and you can scope in by path. So I could here, because we've got it in a pages directory, I could put pages in there, which I think is a little bit way down here. Yeah. So actually, you could just put pages there. So anything in the pages directory would then have these properties by default, but we're not using that. I might use that later possibly, but we'll see. And let's get back up here. So I'm scoping it on pages, and then the values is on. Notice it's on the same level as scope, so it's all into this one item. You see, that's why they've got the dash, because there's no one name to it, because scope and values is part of the one item. So this is a default item, and it has no name. So they're just skipping straight to the values. Or straight to the next section, next level of the YAML file. I'm sorry if I'm explaining this badly, but it's how it's in my mind, I think. So scope, and then values, and then all I've done is set the page template as the default for any page. So any page that I make in future will just use the page layout by default. And then if I want to redefine it, I just state something else as the layout in that front matter for that file. It's kind of the best way, I think. And then I've got some other ones as well. So we've got another scope here of posts, and then obviously post as the layout as the default, and then author I've put myself. I've put me. So for the time being, I will be the author for all posts on Bread.li, but anyone that contributes can just write their name in, and it'll override mine. Simple as that. And if they don't write in, then I will have to take credit for it. I put that in because there was a section in here about author, and I thought, oh well, why not throw that in now? Might as well. You could always kind of write that in later as the default, and then the whole site would rewrite, and everything would have David Darns as the default author automatically. But I thought, why not put it in? It's a common variable to have in there, author, and if you're familiar with metadata and decent like SEO HTML structure, you'll know that author is kind of a value that is looked for by Google. And if you use the author value, then if you put an author in, I should say, it will connect up with any other articles that you've done on the web anywhere. So if you Google David Darns, then all articles will come up under David Darns, and it will link up correctly, just because the author is the same thing. And then I can put in my Google authorship ID, and it will all link up in one go. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. We'll press on. And finally, the CMS's collection, which is called CMS's, as it's called up here, and the layout is CMS. So each CMS content type will use the CMS layout, and then I've put me as the author once again. And I thought that might just be useful. Because it's CMS's, and I won't be the author of the CMS. It's more I am the author of the addition to the site. So what will happen is in the page structure, I will probably write it out as added by David Darns, or whoever adds it to the site, so they can write their own author into the front matter. And it will override mine. It's simple as that. And this is the local site, and it's no different. it doesn't use anything different. I mean, the only way I can show you if it acts differently is if I open this Anchor CMS page and then show you what happens if I actually write one in. So let's take this one, and you'll see no layout value. But if I do layout and let's do default, it'll probably look bad, but it will work. Do default and then refresh. Yeah, broken. Well, it's missing out all the special stuff that's in the CMS's template. But if we take that layout out, save it, and then refresh this, it comes back again, and you'll see that there is all the tags and links that we did in the other episode. So they're all kind of coming out, and that's just because it's using the template. I'm calling them templates. It should say layout, but I'm thinking templates, like in typical WordPress fashion. I'm thinking of WordPress again. I'm going to call them templates, and then the whole thing would be a theme. I'm interested to know what other people's opinion is on like the terminology for stuff, because some CMSs and some online web platforms use the word templates for like the whole thing, and then other people will use themes, and commonly themes are being used, and then templates, I like to think that they're the template files within it. So there's a page template, and then there's a website theme, if that makes sense. That's a completely different story that I would probably have to discuss with maybe with Ben in the Bit podcast or something. 12 minutes, is that it? Or maybe I should just keep this as a short and sweet one. So that's how I have done my defaults. I'm going to commit this, and then I'm going to continue on with making these kind of files. They won't be perfect, but they'll be all nice and modular. That's the modular bit down here, is the include section, where I've got favicon, header, footer, feature, post list, CMS list, and then CMS data. And that CMS data is kind of just that section there. And I've seen the benefits of breaking down a Jekyll site into lots of little HTML chunks. It kind of looks a little bit kind of like, whoa, there's so many files and they're all got like 5 lines of code in them. But it really benefits it, because then you can go, right, well, maybe I want a post list on the side of this page. I just want to bring it in and put it on in a sidebar or something. Or maybe the CMS list, I can put it somewhere else. Or, all sorts. I can pull in I could maybe use the CMS data on another page or something, or if there's a pro version of a CMS or a non-pro, and you can kind of pull round files and chunks of pages and be really flexible with the design. So I hope that was interesting. I hope I explained it fairly well. I don't think I did, but at least to get you the essential concept of the ability to set defaults for content types in Jekyll, and how you can save yourself a little bit of writing in the meantime. And I will be trying to do this as I build upon the site. I would say I do it as I go along, but it's going to slow me down. If I keep preparing so much, the site's going to be prepared for every situation, except the site won't be done. So I'll have prepared for all these situations that I've never actually even got to yet. So I need to get this site into a condition where it's actually using those preparations that I've made. So I will see you in the next video. Thanks.